Before there was social media, streaming platforms, or viral TikTok love stories, there was Pretty Woman, a film that taught the world that fairy tales can be bold, modern, and completely unforgettable. Released in 1990, this romantic drama didn't just charm its audience, it became a pop culture phenomenon. People didn't just watch it, they fell in love with it. And more than 3 decades later, the names Vivian Ward and Edward Lewis still carry that same magic. Pretty Woman introduced us to Vivian, a spirited Hollywood Boulevard prostitute with a heart full of dreams, and Edward, a rich businessman, who had everything but emotional connection. Their meeting was never supposed to mean anything, yet somehow what started as a business arrangement turned into something much deeper. It was a modern Cinderella story, but this time, Cinderella chose her own destiny. The film became an instant classic. Julia Roberts' breakout performance made her America's sweetheart, and Richard Gere's calm, elegant charm as Edward gave the story its emotional depth. Their chemistry was electric, the kind you only get once in a generation.
Audiences
Couldn't get enough of the way they looked at each other. The playful banter and that unforgettable red dress scene at the opera, and then there was the soundtrack. Oh, Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison became the heartbeat of the film. That opening guitar riff still sparks recognition from fans around the world. The film grossed over $460 million worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing romantic comedies of all time. But its real success was emotional. It left viewers believing in second chances and imperfect love stories, and in the beauty of two people from different worlds finding their way to each other. Even after 35 years, people still quote the lines. Big mistake. Big, huge, became a cultural slogan. Vivian's journey from the streets of LA to the penthouse suite wasn't just entertaining, it was inspiring. It challenged the idea of who deserves love, what a woman should look like, and what it means to choose yourself first. This wasn't just a film, it was a moment. And now, decades later, that moment is being reignited. The return of Julia Roberts and Richard Gere in Pretty Woman 2 isn't just a sequel. It's a reminder that love stories like these don't fade, they evolve. Asterisk for years. The idea of a Pretty Woman sequel seemed like nothing more than a nostalgic dream. Interviews with the cast always brought up the same question: would Vivian and Edward ever return to the screen? And the answer was always vague, sometimes playful, but never confirmed. But something changed. As time passed, and Hollywood began embracing legacy sequels, the conversation shifted from never to maybe, and now, finally, to yes. What sparked this return? It wasn't just the trend of reviving beloved classics. There was a deeper reason behind it, a sense of unfinished business. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere have both spoken with warmth and curiosity about their characters over the years. For them, Vivian and Edward weren't just roles. They were people whose story mattered to millions. And in a world that's changed so much since 1990, there's now space to explore what happened after the fairy tale ended. Think about the cinematic landscape today. Legacy sequels are thriving. Top Gun. Maverick soared past expectations. Sex and the City returned with a modern twist, and even Beetlejuice is making a comeback. Audiences aren't just looking for new stories, they're craving closure, evolution, and a chance to see their favorite characters grow older, wiser, and more real. Pretty Woman fits right into this wave, but with a romantic twist that most franchises don't offer. Behind the scenes, it was a mix of perfect timing and creative alignment. A fresh script was pitched that didn't just try to recreate the old magic, but respected the original while building something new. It's not about Vivian being saved again, or Edward riding in with his umbrella. It's about what love looks like after time, change, and real life have happened. The kind of love story that doesn't end with a kiss in a limousine, but keeps evolving through years of distance, growth, and memory. Fans have held on to the hope that these two characters would return not just for nostalgia's sake, but to answer questions that never got explored. Did they stay together? Did they break up and regret it? Did Vivian find happiness beyond Edward? Or did he spend years wondering what life could have been with her? These are the emotional threads that the sequel now has a chance to unravel. Not just with fan service, but with purpose. And let's not forget the actors themselves. Julia Roberts, now one of the most respected names in Hollywood, brings a new depth and maturity to Vivian. Richard Gere, whose career has spanned everything, from romance to thrillers, returns with the same quiet intensity that made Edward so compelling. Their reunion isn't just about reviving old chemistry, it's about exploring how those sparks change after 35 years in a way. Pretty Woman 2 isn't just a sequel, it's a second chance. Not just for the characters, but for all of us, who believed in the idea that love stories can have more than one chapter. And finally, after all these years, we're about to turn the page asterisk the moment the first teaser for Pretty Woman 2 dropped. Fans could hardly believe their eyes. Julia Roberts stepping out of a sleek black car in a modern twist on Vivian's iconic red dress, and Richard Gere's voice quietly saying, "Some stories don't end, they wait." In just 30 seconds. Everything changed. Suddenly, this long-awaited sequel was no longer a rumor. It was real and more emotional than anyone expected. Julia Roberts returns as Vivian. But she's not the same woman we met on Hollywood Boulevard in 1990. She's grown, is wiser, and carries the weight of choices made decades ago. Vivian now runs a successful fashion foundation for underprivileged girls, giving them the mentorship she never had. She's elegant, respected, and still carries that spark, but behind her smile, there's clearly something unresolved. Richard Gere's Edward has also transformed. Once a cold corporate shark, he's now semi-writer and looking back at a life that feels incomplete. The trailer hints that Edward is seeking something deeper, not a business deal. Not a new empire, but perhaps a reconnection with the one woman who challenged him to feel more than numbers. Their paths cross again at a charity gala, a moment that feels both accidental and destined. The supporting cast adds even more texture. Rumors suggest that up-and-coming stars like Florence Pugh or Jacob Elordi may be playing younger characters who mirror Vivian and Edward's past, perhaps. A daughter or a young couple they mentor, bringing a new generation into the story. There's also buzz about a key role for a veteran actress. It's possibly someone like Diane Keaton or Angela Bassett, playing Vivian's mentor or friend. Visually, the sequel trades the neon lights of 90s Hollywood for elegant rooftop events, modern penthouses, and a much more grounded emotional tone. But echoes of the original remain. One shot in the trailer features Vivian holding a small jewelry box, a nod to the famous snapping scene that made Roberts laugh for real. Another shot shows her standing alone at a hotel balcony overlooking Los Angeles, lost in thought. Story-wise, the teaser keeps things vague, but it hints at a past relationship that didn't last. A chance meeting and a long journey of emotional healing. There's no promise of a happily ever after, but there is a promise of honesty, growth, and love that looks different now. Edward and Vivian aren't trying to relive the past. They're trying to understand if what they had still means something after all this time. Even the music brings a wave of nostalgia. The teaser closes with a soft piano version of "Oh, Pretty Woman," slower, more emotional, almost like a lullaby to the past. It's not flashy. It's not trying to copy the original beat for beat. It's saying this is something different, something more reflective so far. The official plot remains under wraps. But what's clear is this: Pretty Woman 2 is not about recreating magic. It's about exploring what happens when magic is interrupted, when time passes, and when love returns in a completely new light. It's about finding closure, or maybe discovering a new beginning after all. Asterisk, the reaction to Pretty Woman 2 has been nothing short of electric. As soon as the teaser hit the internet, social media lit up like it was 1990 all over again. Longtime fans shared emotional throwback posts. Younger audiences started watching the original for the first time. Hashtags like #Vivian and Edward and #Pretty Woman Returns began trending within hours. For many, this wasn't just the return of a film, it was the return of a feeling they hadn't experienced in years. And that's what makes the stakes so high. This isn't just any sequel. It's a continuation of one of the most beloved love stories in cinema history. That kind of legacy comes with enormous pressure. Can the sequel honor the original without feeling forced? Can it capture the emotional magic without repeating old beats? These are the questions fans are quietly asking, even as they celebrate the return. The cast and crew seem to understand this pressure. Behind-the-scenes interviews suggest the filmmakers were extremely careful with how the story was approached. Julia Roberts herself said this sequel wouldn't exist unless it felt true to who Vivian would be today. That kind of creative integrity gives hope to fans that this won't be a cash grab or a nostalgia trap, but a meaningful chapter with something new to say. And then there's the emotional weight. The original Pretty Woman left viewers with a hopeful ending, Edward, climbing the fire escape, flowers in hand, ready to change.